Good morning, good morning, good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning, and welcome back to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So happy, so excited, so thrilled, so honored to have this wonderful opportunity to lead you today in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural, normal, and the necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. That's why we shout good morning, because morning is a good thing. Thank you so very much for joining us on today as we did a prepare to lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 339. This message is right on time. We're going to talk about over time, I'm seeing the forest for the trees. Over time, that's the key. Over time, I'll start to see the forest for the trees. Let's talk about it. It'll make sense. In the beginning of my grief, my loss was a giant sequoia rising out of the ground right in front of me. You know, a sequoia is a tree, right? And he's saying over time, at the beginning of my grief, my grief was a giant sequoia, a big old tree that, what did it say? That rising out of the ground right in front of me. That's what grief was like, this big old massive thing that rises out of the ground right in front of you, right? And it's so big and it's so massive, it was all I could see. It's all I could see. That it was so big, it's all I could see. My grief, this is all I could see. The pain, this transition, it was sudden. This is all I could see. Yesterday was the 13th year anniversary of my father passing, transitioning, and so yesterday was just a lot of reflection and thinking back to this time 13 years ago. Um, Left his house after they came and got him, and I remember I stopped at the gas station for a minute, and I got home, and it was like 12, 1, 11, 12. And I'm at home now processing, like, wait a minute, my daddy just died. My daddy's dead. My daddy's gone. I'm processing. I never forget, I fell asleep on the floor. I was sitting on the floor, I fell asleep, and with the TV on, and I woke up, and well, I fell asleep. What woke me up, you know how you fall asleep and you hear the TV, and the TV is in your dreams, and you hear it. So y'all was asleep, and it was on, it had to be on BET because the Marvin Sapp Never Would Have Made It was on, and I was asleep, and then I woke up and Never Would Have Made It was on, and then bam, it hit me back to the reality of, man, your daddy died, your daddy's dead, and I just sat there on the floor, I'm just crying and bawling, and then starts the let me get up, then starts the routine of trying to get into the day, people coming over, and all of this stuff, and I just going through that week, y'all. That's all I could see, right? This big sequoia of grief and pain and loss, change, and trend. It's all I could see. And not just that week, but the week after that, and the week after that, and the month after that, and the first year after that. It's all I could see. He died in December. I graduated 2 weeks later. That's all I could see. It was I got pictures of the graduation when my eyes are glassy and it seems like I was out of it because that's all you could see. And it's supposed to be a happy time, right? But it was a time of sorrow because I just buried my father 2 weeks ago. We went out to eat when we went out to Outback, and we went out to eat. And I remember getting in the car and just started bawling my eyes out immediately and crying because it was one of them things that there was an empty chair at the table, and I had worked so hard for this moment. My pops wasn't there to see. It's all I could see. New Year's Eve, going into the New Year's, I remember crying, right, doing the New Year's Eve service because I felt like I was leaving him behind in 2011, and how dare me cross over and go into 2012, right? It's all I could see. The Father's Day coming up, but it's all I could see. And when you're going through your grief, y'all, similar situation, When you're navigating through grief, it's all you can see. It's like a big sequoia, and everything is a reminder of your loss. Every holiday, every significant event, every birthday, every month, there was an aspect of the month where you will remember your loved one in a certain way. The pain is so intense and it's so great that when you start, now listen, at the beginning, this is at the beginning of your grief. Your loss was a giant sequoia rising up out of the ground right in front of me. It was all I could see. And perhaps you're feeling the same way when you lost your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, your husband, your wife, your child, your grandchild. At the beginning, that's all you could see. It was just a big, massive, giant sequoia. And that's all you could see. Watch this. The rest of the world was carrying on beyond and all around the sequoia, of course, but I couldn't see the forest for the tree. Now, life is going on, right? But I can't see the forest for the tree because this is all I can see. There are a lot of things. If you go back, there's a lot of things that might have been a blur. When my sister died in 1999, and so there are a lot of things, music, movies, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's a blur, and people will be like, "Do you remember so and so's movie?" Like, nah, I really ain't see. You didn't really see so and so, so and so. But like, nah. I'm like, when did it come out? Man, it was like '99. I'm like, mm-mm. Anything came out in '99, it's a blur because life was going on around me. But because I had this big old giant sequoia, everything is kind of a blur, right? So there was music, there was movies, there was other stuff that was significant that happened, that came out, blur, right? Blur, 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 because all I can see is this right here. And perhaps you feel the same way that life is going to go on, life is moving on around you, but all I can see is this big old giant grief, pain, sequoia tree that's in front of me, right? That's at the beginning. But watch what happens. This all consuming single focus of loss is normal and necessary, especially in the early weeks and months. All consuming focus. This all consuming single focus of loss is normal and necessary because it seems like it's all consuming. See, this all is consuming me. Is consuming me. This all consuming single focus of loss. Watch this. Is normal and it's necessary. It's normal and it's necessary. Think about when a baby leaves the stomach, the womb of a mother comes into the world. What does it do? It cries. It cries because it's in a new environment. It's crying because for 9 months I've been in there and now I'm out here and like, what is this? It comes out crying, right? Because it's being thrusted into a new reality. And so, and that's really lost. That's lost, change, and transition. The baby deals with lost, change, and transition. I was used to being fed this way. Now, where's my bottle? I got to cry. I was used to, all of this. And so, it's so very similar. And so, if you can understand that about a baby, understand about how we're thrusted into this loss, this change, this transition. We're thrusted into this new reality. And just like a baby comes out the womb crying, well, we're thrusted into a new world that we've never been in, right? It becomes all consuming. It's normal, but you got to know that it's normal and it's necessary. Watch this. Ain't nothing wrong with you. It's normal and it's necessary, right? It's no. I just can't stop crying. I just can't. I mean, by now, watch it. It's normal, and it's. I mean, but it really hurts. Yeah, it's normal, and it's necessary, right? And so check this out, especially in the early weeks and months. But lately, I've been finding a little more separation between me and that sequoia. Hmm. As time goes on, he says, I've been finding a little separation between me and that sequoia. Hmm. Over time, here it is, over time and through active mourning. Now, that is the key to it all. It happens over time and through active mourning. They say time heals all wounds only if you are actively mourning. Because if you're just waiting for time to pass in order to get better, it's not going to happen. But if you're waiting for time to pass and you're actively mourning, oh, yeah, yeah, it will. You will start to progress. And so you have to actively mourn. What is that? Express outwardly what you're feeling inwardly. That means we don't suppress, we express. We don't conceal, we reveal, right? We don't ignore, we explore. That's what it means to actively mourn, right? To express outwardly everything that you're feeling inwardly. So we navigate through this process. And if you do that over time, you start to see a little separation between you and that sequoia. I'm creating a little more space in my life for other people, activities, and experiences. Initially, you may be so consumed you don't have space for people, time, and activities. It's like I'm dealing with something that I've never dealt with before and it's consuming me. But as you navigate through the process, now you may be, and this is what's important. That's why we try to bring awareness as it relates to grief. Sometimes people don't know how to deal with us as we navigate through that. Sometimes, y'all, um, we get into a little space, and it's not that we cutting people off. It's I'm consumed with this, and I'm trying to manage, and I don't know what this is, and I'm trying to deal with this, right? And so over time, as we actively mourn and get better, we find a little bit more space for people, activities, and experiences. That sequoia will always be a giant in your life, right? But it won't always be the only thing. So the importance is to actively mourn. Initially, huge, massive giant. It's hard for me to deal. I can't see the forest for the trees. But as I actively mourn and I go through the process of grief, I express outwardly what I'm feeling inwardly. I do the work. As I do the work, yeah, I start to create a little distance and I can see. I can see a little bit, right? Here's the final thought. I'm starting to gain more perspective. I'm starting to see the forest for the trees. I'm starting to gain more perspective. I'm starting to see the forest for the trees. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 339. I told y'all this message is right on time. Over time, I'm seeing the forest for the trees. If you got questions, I'll let your boy one time for the one time. I appreciate y'all joining us on today. Thank y'all so very much as we dare to prepare to continue to get it in. Can you please give me a call? I got you, Nikisha. Like Alan Wolfett's book states, I'm not crazy, I'm grieving, period. I'm not crazy, I'm grieving. I'm not crazy, I'm grieving. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Just continue to do the work, y'all. I promise you, if y'all just continue to do the work, continue to actively mourn, you're going to navigate through the process. Continue to do the work, and you're going to be better. You're going to be a better version of yourself. I appreciate y'all. Keep showing up here. Well, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up. The Holy Spirit's going to show up. We're going to show up and be part of the process that helps you to navigate through this season of grief. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. Ain't no questions. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place, same space. Here we go. Let's go.